Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome. Today we're going to do an unboxing of Panzer Expansion number 1. Now this is the second printing just recently released in 2021 that expands upon the Panzer base game. So this is a hefty box. There's a lot of weight to it. Let's jump in, open it up, take a look at some of the components, and then offer some impressions as to what this does to enhance the Panzer base game. So in order to take advantage of Panzer Expansion number 1, of course, you want to make sure that you know you need the base game first. So this adds on to that gameplay. It's not a standalone product. It mentions here, the title of it, if you will, is The Shape of Battle on the Eastern Front, 1943 to 1945. And there's a particular emphasis on the action around Kursk in this. But as we'll see, this, I think, offers a lot of depth and expansion, as would be expanded, to that base core game for a lot of different reasons. I will say that this is heavy. Okay, so this is probably a 2-inch box, I want to say, and once I've opened up, you can barely get it closed. It's full. Okay, so it's got a lot of heft to it. If we take a look on the back too, just this kind of applies again, I think, to the series on a whole here. We've got complexity of 6 and solitaire suitability of a 6 as well. However, I think the caveat with that complexity is that you have the basic game, advanced game, and then optional rules, and you can really work your way up from a relatively simple, straightforward base game up to a highly complex advanced game. So putting one number on this system feels a little bit not quite right to me. I really feel it almost needs like 3 ratings. I would go like maybe 4, 6, 8 of itself, that it averages out to a 6. But I don't think you need to let the complexity of this system intimidate you because of the way it introduces you to gameplay, and you can play, armor tank versus tank combat to an incredible degree at that base level and with that basic game, and still have a lot of fun with it. Again, very tactical game, as we know from Panzer and things like that. Individual units for tanks and stuff, and so we're talking about each game turn is 15 seconds to 15 minutes, 100 meters per hex. So it's really a tactile game where you're on the ground with small-scale units and things. Let's open it up and see what it offers to the series. Now, the first thing that we've got are these 4 maps, and I'll show some close-ups on a couple of them, but they pretty much probably are going to fit into the camera here. One of the criticisms, I think, of the first game was its map board, not only in terms of kind of, I think, its artistic quality, which I'm not sure. I think it's a very functional map, which is great, but in terms of the fact that you get one map with a system that offers so much variety of gameplay, to have one map felt a little bit limiting. And so these are polymorphic maps that can fit together in a number of different ways. Each one is 10 by 27, and the hexes are nice big 1-inch hexes. And as we can see, just a lot of different tactical situations they can throw at you. So we've got this town over here on the side, we've got a hill, we've got some woods and some roads, and again, these all butt together, so you can put these together in any way, shape, manner, or form that you want. They are 2-sided, and it's kind of a glossy, heavy cardboard, so I would think adding some plexiglass to these would be beneficial. Again, we kind of little river stream here. We got roadways, some buildings, some outcrops, all kinds of different interesting tactical situations to work with. And there are, again, 4 of these, so we've got 8 different sides that you could mix and match in a number of different ways. And these could fit, they could go lengthwise, or you could make one big kind of rectangle or almost square out of them. Lots of different tactical configurations. Some of them look pretty kind of unique here. I mean, we've got this one here with the hill on the right-hand side and the little village of Orlovo to the right. So kind of very interesting, and I think this, more than anything else, starts to get at what I think Panzer is trying to do in terms of giving you a system, not only to play the scenarios provided, but giving you a system to make your own scenarios. I think if there's anything that I sense from this expansion, if I were to define this, it's more stuff, and it's to kind of go ahead, make your own encounters. And we'll see why. I'm not going to show all the maps there, but that's kind of 2 of them, and I'll show, again, close-ups as we saw them there too. The other part of this, so that one part is the maps. The other part is, I think I would categorize as historical reference. There are 3 kind of books, if you would, and we'll take a look at this first one, that provides some amazing historical research to support the gameplay that you can have with this series now. So The first game had 10 scenarios. There's also 7 scenarios in here. And this is The Shape of Battle, Eastern Front. This book here has 56 pages to it. Again, it's map paper. And this consists of really 2 parts to it. The second half, if you would, are the new scenarios that are added to the game. So the first game, again, had 10 scenarios. This adds another 7. And if there's one thing that an observation I'm looking at as I'm looking at these scenarios is that some of these are pretty big. I mean, the orders of battle for this one's a small one. I think a smaller kind of one of the ones that we see here. But as we kind of go through, that's number 11. Here's number 12. It's using all 4 maps and the orders of battle, 1 for each side. I mean, a lot of different units here. They go up in length and scope and size pretty quickly. So you can have some kind of some epic battles here with the forces that are going on. So they ramp up the size quite a bit in terms of what you've got here. So it looks like a lot of fun tank battles, again, centered around Kursk. I know there's one in here that pits, I think it might be the last one. So this is Kursk, it's 12th of July, 1943. So a lot of battles, just again, that kind of highlighting that Kursk element of this expansion, 1943 to 1945, Soviet versus German conflict. But yeah, some of these get pretty big. So I can imagine these are going to be kind of lengthy, meaty, fun scenarios with a lot of different armor that have now been provided in the game system. Now, so this is the scenarios you get, but I think there seems to be a strong message within this expansion pack too of now you can create your own, because the first half of this this document here, this 56-page booklet, are the tables of organization and equipment for 4 German panzer divisions as they were at the beginning of the Battle of Kursk, and 1 Soviet brigade as well. So this is really a historical reference where you can look down really almost to the kind of the unit level and to see what was involved in the Battle of Kursk. And with this, of course, I think the implication to me is, you could take elements of this and take pieces of this and create historically accurate scenarios and representations of so many different confrontations using the counters and units now from the base game combined with these extra counters. So this, I think, really to me feels like an invitation as the designer saying, okay, you've got 17 scenarios, but you've got so many units, you've got a lot more maps now. What can you do? Paint your own scenarios, create your own encounters, play around with this system, and start to make stuff, make it your own, and really kind of own it. Again, we can see, I mean, the hours of historical research that must have gone into kind of building up these tables of organization and equipment is just phenomenal. So lots of stuff here that I think adds up to kind of an invitation to design your own scenarios. It goes on and on and on, and it has a lot of different notes on what different units were and captured Soviet units that were there and things. It's just a really interesting document to look through. Now, another fun part of this is that you get more counters and more vehicles. This is, I think, a huge part of this expansion is here are more tanks. Play with them. Now, we get 2 counter sets, and again, these are about, I think they're an inch each big. Probably as we look at these, and I'll show close-ups again, I'd say 2/3 of them are German and 1/3 is Russian. A lot of, I think, vehicles that were kind of less commonly appearing in battles. And one of the characteristics, too, of these components is that each side represents a different vehicle. So you don't flip them over to represent a different status on a vehicle. Each side is a different vehicle. So here we have, for example, the Jag Tiger. And then if we flip that over, looking at the same counter, the other side of the counter is a Panzer 70 Tiger 1. So you've got not just what you see on one side. I mean, obviously, you couldn't have those 2 appear in the same battle. That wouldn't work because they're on the other side of the same counter. But you've got a lot of options for bringing in a lot of different units, more than just you see on one side, because you've got both sides here. And these, again, these are gorgeous. I mean, they have that miniature tactile feel to them. They're big, got a lot of information on them, just beautiful counters. So we've got that one counter set, which is all German, and then here we have the one that's more dominated by Russian counters. And again, I'll show some close-ups on these. Lots of different armored vehicles. Panzer 4Js, Panthers, I'm looking at some of the ones in extreme, just a real depth. And I think, again, that idea is you've got a much wider range now of Soviet and German armor to play with and to create your own encounters and engagements with here, including some of the more kind of the rarer vehicles that would have been likely to be at a given situation, and some anti-tank guns and things like that as well too. So really fun. I mean, again, that idea, this is your own, what you would kind of pantry of goods to create your own scenarios with. And now we come to both. These documents are the same, the Soviet tables of organization and equipment for all different kinds of battalions, and you can see them listed here by pages. We've got a sapper company in early 1942, a recon company in early 1942, a tank brigade in mid 1943, a motorized rifle regiment in early 1941. So you can then go to that page and see exactly what's in it, create your own unit, and build that into a different battle or scenario. Pit different German forces against Soviet forces. This is 28 pages, and again, so much rich historical detail here that you can go in and, these you don't need these to play anything. These are just added that you can go in and say, let's create our own scenarios. And the information and research here is just remarkable. Same thing here with the German tables of organization and equipment. Panzer Regiment, late 1943, Reconnaissance Battalion, mid 1943, Pioneer Battalion, mid 1943. Go right there. You can see what's in it. You can take some components and make your own battles, basically, is how you can go. So again, an invitation, I think, to create with this series. So exciting to see. And I think this might be my favorite part, though. This accounts for quite a bit of the head. You get 38 of these unit cards. And let me kind of pull them out here. So this is one pile, and then this is the other pile. And again, each one of these is two-sided with the information on the units. I'll show some close-ups. So these are basically the nitty-gritty numbers, kind of like, I heard someone refer to them as the baseball cards for these units. And so this is just an amazing amount of information. There's so much here. I mean, you really can go nuts. I mean, you could even you could pull out like 3 versus 3 battles. You could do whatever you want with these kind of things. So the gameplay, I think, that you can create from this type of set, especially when you combine it with the original, the base game, is just remarkable. I mean, it just vastly expands the amount of equipment you've got to work with. Jagdpanzer, Nashorn, Elephant, Brummbär. Really cool stuff here. Just so much to play with. Panzer Kampfwagen 3G, 4E. Just a rich historical detail. So the amount of research that has gone into this is just fascinating. So I think, this offers, especially if you're looking to kind of create your own scenarios, this offers a rich environment, and that gets us to the end there. Again, a ton of stuff in here, a lot of heft. These cards are really heavy. I mean, they've got some quality built into them as well. That brings us to the end. I would also like to say, as I wrap this up, this was a Brewski from Quarter to Three Forms had ordered, somehow ended up with 2 of them, so he offered to pass this one on for the cost of shipping, and I took him up on that offer, so I'm very grateful to be able to get this. Thank you very much for sending that along. I'm looking forward to digging into it and kind of expanding my play with the series here. So I think, again, this series offers a ton. It's obvious, it's kind of, I hesitate to compare it to Advanced Squad Leader because I think it's a very different beast. But in terms of armored combat, I'm hard-pressed to think of a system that you could invest in that's going to reward you with the depth and kind of color that this series has here. So I think a nice expansion. Oh, there you go. If you've enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, please consider subscribing. And again, about 40 to 50% of the content on the channel is wargaming and historical conflict related content. So I'd love to have you along for the ride. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you think. Do you have this expansion or other expansions? Do you like the series? And if you've played it, what are your thoughts? So thanks very much. Have a great day, everybody.